Hey, Redeemer. It just got finished with our fourth service, and I wanted to give a little recap today of the book of Ruth, chapter 1. A lot of interesting details in here, and the thing that I want to pull out is kind of the big idea, because it's easy to read the book of Ruth and it become like an illustration for other things. So you want to avoid your Moab. Who's your Moab? You want to find your Boaz, and you better be a Ruth or you're never going to have a Boaz. You better be a Boaz, you'll never get your Ruth. That's not what this book is about. This book is about faithfulness in the midst of an incredibly wicked period of time. And it's really a picture of God's care for his people in the midst of a horrible, horrible time in Israel's history. If you look out at our culture, we are going into, if we're not already in, some pretty dark days. If you've been around Redeemer before, you know that I've said that I don't think we're waiting for God's judgment. I think we're experiencing God's judgment. And so what is it that how is it we're supposed to live? What is it that our lives are supposed to look like? We're to be the opposite, basically, of the culture. Whatever the culture is doing, we do the opposite of. If we followed that rule, we'd probably be really, really safe in faithfulness to God. So if the book of Ruth is not about avoiding your Moab and finding your Boaz and things of that nature, what is it all about? Well, what I said today was that what the author does in the book of Ruth is he puts in specific inconsistencies in the text to clue us into what he's really saying. So in chapter 1, verses 1 to 5, there are inconsistencies about obedience to God that shows the author is really telling you that the decisions that Elimelech made were not in accordance with God's will. And that what Naomi experiences after her son and her two sons and her husband die, what she's experiencing is God's discipline, and that is seen, that's clued into us with the inconsistencies. Now that doesn't stay the same, because as soon as we get to chapter 1, verse 6, the inconsistencies now tell us something else. All the inconsistencies that we followed, that we talked about in the message, pointed to the fact that God is now beginning to shine grace onto Naomi's life. That while she looked at her past and she said, look at all of these horrible things that the Almighty has done to me. Look at all of these, he's testifying against me. He's brought calamity upon me, verse 21. That behind what Naomi was experiencing is God was putting all of the things in place to completely reverse the tragedy in her life and to bring her into a place of incredible triumph. Now, in saying that, I'm saying that the book of Ruth is really about Naomi. But what you're going to find on Christmas Eve is that it's even more than about Naomi. It is about something more than just turning around one Israelite's life named Naomi about 3,000 years ago. It's about something even more significant. It's actually going to blow your mind on Christmas Eve. But I'm not going to tell you about that now. You're going to have to wait. So that's all I've got for you today. Have a great rest of your Sunday.